On March 4th, 1960, the greatest episode of The Twilight Zone aired on television. The monsters are due on Maple Street. It starts up with a normal suburban neighborhood, just enjoying their summer's day, and they see something flying through the air. They're trying to figure out what it was. Was it a meteor? Was it an aircraft? Like, was it a plane? It was too fast to be a plane. Was it a jet? Like, is it a meteor? What is it? And this one teenager, he's like, It's an alien spacecraft. I saw it in one of my comic books. That's what it is. It's an alien spacecraft." The neighbors like at first just shrug it off, like, "Nah, it was nothing." Then a power outage happened. Yeah. Uh, so a power outage happened, and they're like, "Huh, the power's out. Maybe we should go get help." They try to start the cars, but the cars won't start, and they're just trying to figure out like what's going on. And the teenager, his name is Tommy, he's like, "The aliens don't want us to leave. We can't leave the neighborhood." And they're trying to figure out what's like what's causing this power outage and why the cars don't start. It's like maybe it's the meteor that happened. It's like maybe the meteor interfered with our power in our cars. But then they're starting to get suspicious. Like maybe there are aliens. What if the aliens are disguised as humans? And they start getting suspicious of they start getting suspicious of the other neighbor. Nothing is working, and then all of a sudden a car starts working, and it was a car of one of the neighbors. There's one sane neighbor, and he's like, "Guys, let's not be a mob. Let's not gang on each other." And then all of a sudden, the one car stops, and when they confront the neighbor who's like, "Car started," it's like, "Hey, why did your car start by itself and then stop?" And he's like, "I don't know. It just happened." There was like, then there's like they were suspicious of a neighbor. His name is Goodman. And they're like, that Goodman guy, he goes out in the middle of the night and he's looking at the sky. "Goodman, why are you looking at the sky?" And he's like, "Guys, I get insomnia. I just have a hard time sleeping at night. And sometimes I just want to step out and look at the stars. Is that so bad? Don't get suspicious of me." And the same neighbor who's like, "Guys, we cannot suspect each other." It's like, "Guys, we need to stop. We cannot suspect each other here." And they start ganging on him, like, "Hey, you have been doing odd things too, Steve. You've been going down to your basement to work on something. I believe it was a radio. Why are you working on a radio? Are you trying to contact someone? Someone in space, Steve?" And he's like, "Guys, it's just a hobby. Can't I just work on a radio as a hobby?" You're all desperate to point fingers at your neighbor. And then, they are starting to hear they're hearing footsteps walking towards them. And it was like the nighttime, and they can't see who's walking towards them. Earlier in the episode, they sent a neighbor to go, check other neighborhoods to see if their power was out. So like, so a neighbor named Charlie, he grabbed a shotgun, shot the stranger, and it was the neighbor that they sent out earlier to check the other neighborhoods. His name was Pete Van Horn. I have all these on my notes, by the way. Uh, and then they're like, "Charlie, you shot him. Why did you shoot him?" Like, we didn't know who it was. It was dark. We didn't see the face. We thought it was the aliens. And then Charlie, his lights come on, and they just start suspecting him all of a sudden. You know, and like the neighbors just start picking up rocks and they just start throwing them at Charlie. Stop! We're all doing this. It's because of that kid. That kid named Tommy. He told us about the aliens. It's him. He's the alien. The kid knew everything. And then all of a sudden, lights start flickering on and off, on and off. And neighbors are just all of a sudden starting grabbing their weapons. And they started accusing each other and starting attacking each other. And it's all this chaos. You know, I remember like watching this back in 2012, 2013. The Sci-Fi Channel has their Twilight Zone marathons every New Year's Eve. I remember watching this episode back in 2012, 2013. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, this would have never happened in this day and age. Like, when Orson Welles read The War of Worlds back in 1938, and they thought, anyone who just all of a sudden tune in their radio, and they start hearing this, you know, broadcast of War of Worlds, they honestly thought it was a news broadcast, and they honestly thought aliens were invading the Earth. And I'm like, that was so long ago. It was 1938. It's the 21st century now. There is no way, absolutely no way, anything like this would happen nowadays.
Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back!
Right now! Immigrant women are getting their uterus taken out! Right now! And you...
Get the fuck away from them, man.
Get the fuck
away from them. Get the fuck away from them.
Nobody said you love. Hold on, protection.
If you don't give us our shit, if you don't give us our shit, we'll shut shit down.
Shut shit down! Shut shit down!
Fucking God. Watching this episode under the Trump administration, and you're laughing your ass off right now. Like, yup, it fucking happened. The plot of the Monsters Are Due on Maple Street are happening now. Here's the funny thing. The word monsters in the episode title, The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, the word monsters does not refer to the alien invasion. It refers to the people themselves. The people have become so fearful of these monsters coming to get them that they have become the monsters themselves. They're afraid that aliens were going to destroy their neighborhood, and in the end of the episode, they destroyed their own neighborhood. And that's what we're kind of seeing in this country right now. We're seeing people who claim they're against hate, being hateful themselves, claim they're against intolerance, being intolerant themselves. We have an organization called Antifa who claim they're anti-fascist, yet they're being fascist. They're going around attacking people who disagree with them. I mean, talk about irony, isn't it? And we now have this thing called anti-racist, where like they're fighting against racism. But when you hear what their goals are, it's no different from actual racism. They practice segregation. They believe blacks and whites should be separated. In fact, like Richard Spencer, who's a white nationalist, he's actually supporting Joe Biden because right now the political left are doing the exact things white supremacists would do years ago. But they're calling it anti-racism. It's just so fucking hilarious. And before recording this video, I watched a Tim Pool video. He's sharing all this stuff like online, all these Twitter posts, all this posts on Reddit. who lean political left, and the way they're talking, it sounds like something a Nazi would say. Here are these people who accuse Donald Trump and his supporters of being Nazis, and they're acting like Nazis. Just the irony. If they could just see themselves right now, they'll be like, oh my god, we're acting like Nazis right now. You know, I was like, Tim Pool, in one of his broadcasts, he tells the story of how he was at Berkeley. You know, he was just walking down the street of Berkeley, and he was seeing all these anti-Trump signs. And he goes into one place, like one restaurant, to eat lunch or something. And he asks the manager, like, hey, what do you really think of Donald Trump? And the manager's like, I don't hate them that much. I just feel a bit indifferent, but I don't hate him that much. And then he's like, if you don't hate Donald Trump that much, then why do you have an anti-Trump sign on the window of your place? Why do you have an anti-Trump sign on your business? And the manager's like, well, that's because I don't want them to destroy my business. Them referring to the anti-Trump people. And it's kind of funny, isn't it, that the media would tell you that Trump and his supporters are dangerous, yet you're more concerned about the people who are opposed said dangerous politician? Like, you're more concerned about the anti-Trump people than Trump and his supporters. What does that tell you? If Donald Trump and his supporters are supposed to be the party of hate, why are you more concerned about the people who oppose him? That should pretty much tell you who the real Nazis are in the situation. And I'm seeing that a lot these past few years. You know, right now, the monsters in Maple Street, or something I really wanted to tell you this video, the fastest deal on America Street. Right now, the monsters are the political left accusing Trump and his supporters of being Nazis. And I'm thankful that there are people called the Walk Away movement who are leaving the Democratic Party because of what the Democrats are suddenly becoming. They're calling Trump and his supporters fascists while becoming fascists themselves. And I'm not sure if that's enough to win Trump's election in 2020. This election, I don't know if it's enough. And we're talking about an episode that was made around 60 years ago. Richard Sterling didn't predict this. This is something that has been going on in human civilization for a very long time. Like, since the dawn of frickin' man, that's how long it's been. Like, Richard Sterling didn't predict the future. He's like, this shit happens throughout society, human history in general. And I would like to finish off a quote from the end of the episode. And I have it right here. The tools of conquest do not necessarily come with bombs and explosions and fallout. They're weapons that are simply thoughts, attitudes, prejudices, to be found only in the minds of men. For the record, prejudices can kill and suspicion can destroy. A thoughtless, frightened search for a scapegoat has a fallout all of its own for the children yet unborn. And it is a pity of what is, and that these things cannot be confined to the Twilight Zone. I'm Super NAZ. If there's anyone watching, like the video, please subscribe. Have a nice day. Bye.